Hey, Driven Youth Group, I hope you're doing well. Sorry for the long hiatus from the Exile Challenge. This is Esther chapter 3. This is the 20th installment of our Exile Challenge. I hope that you've been reading along. If you've been reading along every day through the weekdays, then you're probably well ahead of me right now. But I'm hoping to get these videos out to you. I'm just going to keep on going from here. So Esther chapter 3 today, and then tomorrow Esther chapter 4. But let me just give you a quick thought on Esther chapter 3. It was kind of interesting. This is a little bit of a small detail that maybe you picked up as you read. The first statement here in verse 1 says this: After these things, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman the Agagite, the son of however you pronounce this, Hamadatha. We'll just go with that. And advanced him and set his throne above all the officials who were with him. And then it continues on there, of course. And what happens is Haman finds out that Mordecai does not bow down to him. And then he, instead of just getting back at Mordecai for humiliating him, he wants to get back at all the Jews and obliterate them. And so he devises this plan. He casts lots. He casts the lot, which gives you the interpretation there in the passage. And that's where we, later on in Esther, get the holiday Purim, Purim, lots. Okay, so when the Jews celebrate the holiday Purim, just means the lots in relationship to Haman and what he did and cast the lots on when he was going to persecute the Jewish people or try to obliterate the Jewish people. And so we start off with that one verse, and here's something that maybe you picked up, maybe you didn't, but it kind of stood out to me, is that he promoted Haman the Agagite. Now the question is, why did he have to say where Haman was from? Why did the writer have to say where Haman was from, or whom he was from, or who he was from? So an Agagite, well, who is that? Well, if you remember any of your Israeli history, that King Saul was commanded by the Lord to go and obliterate the Amalekites. And this is in 1 Samuel chapter 15. And so Saul goes out, he destroys the Amalekites, and he was supposed to basically destroy everything, all the livestock, everything. But what they do, they disobey the Lord. King Saul disobeys the Lord and allows the people to take the choice lambs, sheep, different possessions, and he also takes King Agag alive. He takes him alive. And then Samuel gets word of this. By whom? He gets word of this by the Lord. The Lord tells him what King Saul did. And so Samuel goes down. He talks to King Saul and says, the kingdom is taken away from you because you disobeyed the word of the Lord. And then Samuel kills King Agag. All right. And so we see that Haman is a descendant of King Agag. All right, so we've got an issue here. Now, well, what's the big deal? Okay, so that means that he's just mad at Jewish people. Well, no, but what we find out in Esther chapter 2 is this. In verse 5 it says, now there was a Jew in Susa, the citadel, whose name was Mordecai. All right, we already read that. He was the son of Jair, son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. Why is that important? Because, do you know who the father of King Saul was? The father of King Saul was Kish. Okay? King Saul was a Benjamite. So that would mean that Mordecai was a distant relative to King Saul. So his great grandfather was Kish. Okay, so Kish had more than one son. Okay, he had Saul, and he also had a son named Shimei. Okay, and so we have a long history of people who are just upset about what happened in the past. And you're like, well, man, it happened such a long time ago. Why are people still upset about it? You know, the Civil War happened a long time ago, but people are still upset about that. Sometimes people have a difficulty letting rivals go. Rivalries go by the wayside. Even just dumb occasions where you have different schools that they're rivals against one another, whether it's like Washington versus Jefferson or Jefferson versus Martinsburg or whatever it might be. And a lot of times, even when parents get older, they still have a little bit of a rivalry with one another. Like, why? Well, I don't know. But there is an issue here. There's a rivalry, okay, a big one. They hate each other. And it goes back to something that occurred in the past. And it just reminded me of this, okay? Not that the passage is talking about this, and it's not the point of the passage, but it just brought to my mind this idea that we need to take care of things in our lives now. If we know that we are to do something that the Lord wants us to do and that we should do, that we need to take care of it today. Because the things that we don't take care of now in the present will someday, or could someday in the future, bite us, right? So we want to be obedient to the Lord today. We want to take care of things today. If we have to do something difficult that the Lord asks us to do, so maybe the Lord would have us go and confront someone about a particular issue in their life, and we really don't want to do it because of just the turmoil. But the more that we let those things go, the more difficult it becomes and the more issues that we have in the future. So God sometimes calls us to do hard things in the present. And if we are obedient to the Lord in the present, then we won't have the many issues in the future. I don't know. This was a little lesson that I got even just from that simple verse. There's many things that we could come down through here in the passage. Curious in what the Lord may have reminded you in this passage, but just a quick little lesson that we take care of today's problems when? Today. We take care of today's problems today and immediately. And that's a lesson that I need to continue to remember and to learn, and one that you need to work on as well. Okay? What is the Lord calling us to do? And is He calling us to do today? We need to be obedient today. Be obedient today. So that we don't have to maybe worry about issues that result from not being obedient in the present, in the future, if that makes any sense. All right. Well, anyways, that's enough of my little thought, but those little details in the story are important. Even just that little phrase, Haman the Agagite. Why is it there? It's important. There's a rivalry. Mordecai, he comes from Kish, the Benjamite, against Haman the Agagite. The battle still rages on. Something that his great-great-great-great-grandfather, King Saul, didn't do, and he was disobedient, still has ongoing implications and impact today. I'm not saying that's how it always works, right? So the Lord is gracious to us. The Lord is gracious to us, even though we are not perfect, right? And so we rely upon His grace, and every single day. So anyways, what was your thought? I encourage you to go to our Driven webpage and put down a comment about what the Lord taught you through Esther chapter 3. And I look forward to sharing with you a little bit tomorrow about Esther chapter 4. All right, you have a good day. God bless.